I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. Congressman Joseph Morelle spoke in support of 3 pieces of legislation on the House floor last week. The New York Democrat voiced his support for the Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act, the Consumer Fuel Price Gouging Prevention Act, and the Infant Formula Supplemental Appropriations Act. He urged for bipartisan support, calling these, quote, concrete proposals to address issues facing our nation that should be non-controversial. Here's more from Morelle's House floor remarks.
The gentleman from Pennsylvania yields back. The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I thank all of my colleagues for their words in support of the rule before us today. As I mentioned earlier, we have before us relatively simple measures that take action to both support working families and protect our communities from domestic terrorism and violent extremism.
Thank you.
My colleagues on the other side of the aisle can attempt to misdirect and confuse and make accusations and hurl insults all they want. But the reality is we're presenting concrete proposals to address issues facing our nation that should be non-controversial. The Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act will allow law enforcement to better deter acts of domestic terrorism. The Consumer Fuel Price Gouging Prevention Act will ensure that big oil cannot record historic profits at the expense of everyday Americans. And the Infant Formula Supplemental Appropriations Act will help provide much-needed relief for parents struggling to find formula for their children. I look forward to supporting all 3 bills on the floor. I appreciate my colleagues, and Madam Speaker, I urge a yes vote on the rule in the previous question. I yield back the balance